I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Come on to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Can I return it if it doesn't fit?
It always fits. Eventually.
Welcome back, Movie Minglers. We are here with our first animated film off of the Letterboxd Top 20 animated films. It's a very special film for a lot of people, but not for me, because up until this point, I had never seen Spirited Away. I will leave a pause for you to gasp and be angry about that. And now we're going to move on, because I've finally seen it, and y'all can get off my ass.
This is one of 3 Miyazaki films on our list that we're doing. There's another 2, and we could say them now or we can wait.
Yeah, no, it's Howl's Moving Castle, which
Sure.
people love, and The Boy and the Heron, which people loved. I haven't seen either one of them. In fact, before this, the only Miyazaki film I'd seen was Princess Mononoke. And again, before y'all get your pitchforks out and your torches, it's not because I don't enjoy them. It's just that I haven't taken the time to watch them. So settle down.
It's okay.
I've had people yell at me.
I know,
triggered.
but at least you've watched Spirited Away. Like, that's a huge... I mean, I'm sorry. At least you've seen Princess Mononoke. That's a huge one in the Miyazaki...
I feel like Princess Mononoke is kind of like the weird one to have only seen, because everybody's seen Spirited Away. Everybody's seen everybody's seen Howl's Moving Castle.
Sure.
Like The Boy and the Heron was huge. You know, a ton of my friends went to the theater to see it when it came out. And I'm over here in the corner just like, I watched the princess one where she stabs the god and it's bloody.
I took our oldest child to see The Boy and the Heron. Well, first, the Fathom events at Regal Theaters was every year they do the Ghibli Fest, where they play a bunch of Studio Ghibli films for the majority of the fall.
Yeah,
maybe
it's like once
leads into
or twice
winter.
a month for
And
fall.
it's like September, October. You can usually watch half dozen to a dozen of their movies, but I took our oldest child to go see Princess Mononoke. They had never seen any Miyazaki films, and I had never seen Princess Mononoke in theater in a theater before.
I bet it was beautiful.
It was
on the big screen.
It was just, of course it was.
Yeah.
Our favorite word again, beautiful. And the fact that Princess Mononoke is not on this list at all
It's a little shocking.
It's very shocking. I mean, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, and The Boy and the Heron are 3 just incredible animated films, and they are definitely in the top 5 of Studio Ghibli's films. But let's talk about Spirited Away.
Let's talk about Spirited Away.
Yeah, it was released in Japan in 2001, but it wasn't until the 2003 Academy Awards that it won for Best Animated Feature. Another thing to talk about is the English dub versus the Japanese sub. I know a lot of people, when they watch anime, they prefer the Japanese audio with English subtitles, which a lot of times is far superior to the English. They usually don't have a lot of great English actors that do a good job with animes in whether it's TV or movie. However, in Studio Ghibli films, they pick a lot of really great English speaking actors to portray these anime characters, and I think they with these Miyazaki, they put a lot of effort in. They get some big names,
although not necessarily in this particular film, because let's be real honest, I think the biggest name of the English-speaking actors in this film would probably be...
I think it's DeVay Chase. I think she's probably
What has she been in?
She was Samara in the Hollywood version of The Ring, and she played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna know her name.
No, I mean,
if you just randomly said, "Oh, DeVay Chase," was in Spirited Away, I think a lot of people would go, "Who?" Versus like John Ratzenberger, you're going to recognize immediately. Tara Strong is absolutely somebody that you're going to recognize immediately. Michael Chiklis, although he has a small part. You know, like, I'm just saying, like, this isn't a stacked cast.
Not compared to other Studio Ghibli films. No. This was not one where they're like, we need top tier A-list actors to come in and do voices. But I think they still had some really good people. First, you got Suzanne Pleshette, who played Emily Hartley on the Bob Newhart show, which I'm too young to have watched the Bob Newhart show. I know that there were reruns, but I never...
Yeah, I know of it.
I know he played Bob's... She played Bob's wife. And if anybody's listening out there and loves the Bob Newhart show, I'm sorry. I just never got around to it.
You've got David Ogden Stiers, which most people know as Clogsworth from Beauty and the Beast. Flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep.
However, on the Japanese cast, Rumi Hiragi, who plays the voice of Chihiro, she's been in other Miyazaki films like Ponyo and a film that he didn't direct but he wrote, From Up on Poppy Hill. And Jason Marsden, who plays Haku, I'm sorry, I went back to the English cast, but Jason Marsden, who plays Haku, is Max Goof from A Goofy Movie, which I just like hearing his voice. I don't know if you caught it. I'm a huge Goofy Movie fan.
I haven't seen the Goofy Movie in years.
I grew up watching DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, and a lot of these Disney characters would pop in occasionally. So that's where I mainly got a lot of my Disney from. Huge Goofy Movie fan over here. So the movie starts with the family moving to a new home. Obviously, Chihiro doesn't seem very happy about it.
Also, Chihiro needs to put on a goddamn seatbelt. Because that kid is just...
She's bouncing in the back
seat.
Just slouching all the way down. It's something that I think our son would probably do if he could.
He would 100%, but we would be screaming at him to put on a seatbelt.
Like, this car is not moving until...
And then they decide to take the car off-road. And she bounces around even more. Like, I know this movie was made in the 90s, but put on a fucking seatbelt. Jesus.
Obviously, she's not feeling great about this move.
Yeah,
she's sad.
Very unhappy.
She has some friends that a friend gave her flowers that she can't let go of.
I didn't move a lot growing up, but I definitely have moved growing up. I mean, you know, we left one place when I was in between 2nd and 3rd grade, moved across the country. And, you know, it's always weird to do that, especially to kids, because all of a sudden you're in a strange new school and have to make new friends, and it's hard for them. But, you know, when you're young, you adapt. When you're outgoing and nuts like I am, you adapt very quickly. But, so they decide to go off-roading a little bit. Or no, he takes the wrong turn.
Or he takes a shortcut.
He takes a shortcut.
He's pretty sporadic. Like, the dad is, hey, we're just going to do this now. And it's like, wait, why can't we, like, stay on the road or find directions or turn around? Yeah, they seem like they were lost. And he's like, we're just going to go on this random road that I have no idea where it leads.
The dad's the worst. I hate the father in this film.
As voiced by Michael Chiklis?
Michael Chiklis. It's not necessarily his voice acting so much, but I hate his face. His face is fucked up, and I hate it. He looks like Hank Hill and Josh Brolin and a pig had a baby, and that baby was fucking ugly.
I'm glad that we didn't spend a lot of time with the mom and dad.
They're terrible parents.
At the very beginning, before they enter what they think is an amusement park, they have to go down a lengthy, dark hallway or tunnel, and the dad's like, "Come on, Chihiro, let's just go down it." And she's like, "No, this is crazy. I'm not going to go down a dark tunnel. I wouldn't want to go." Like, how do you know where it leads? Why are you being drawn so much into this? Like, that's not where AAA is.
No, the whole time, and then the mom's telling Chihiro, sorry. The mom is telling Chihiro to not hold on to her as tight because they might fall. Like, these parents don't really care that much about their kid. And I have to admit, when we started this movie, we started it at night. We watched it in 2 halves. We started it in the evening. After a long day of work, I was grumpy. I was a little too sober. I was just not fully in the mood to get into this like real world. So I viewed everything about this film from a very like, meh, I don't want to. For the first probably like 30 minutes. So I had a lot of notes that I didn't even bother typing up about how much I just fucking hated the parents and how I wanted Chihiro to stop screaming. Like, oh my god, all that kid did was just fucking scream for the first half of the film.
Dad, come on, what are you doing? Let's go.
It was
We need to go now.
It was so obnoxious.
You're
and
right.
Also, to be fair, because so many people have gotten so upset at me for having not seen this film, I went into it feeling like I had to love it. And when it started and I was watching it, I wasn't loving it because I really hated the parents. But luckily they turned into pigs after being pigs.
Yeah, they were total pigs with all the food that they were just grabbing, willing and like,
Yeah.
I will pay them later. Like, can you wait for a waiter or
Well,
somebody before you just start eating random strangers' food?
Here's my thought on that. So say you come across an abandoned amusement park in the middle of your neighborhood, right? It is dusty, it is dank, it is clearly old and hasn't been there for a while, and you wander
First
in
thought.
and you see a bunch of food sitting on a table. I'm not going to eat that food. I don't care how good it smells. I'm going to be like, who made this? When did they make this? How long has it just been sitting out?
I mean, it was steamy hot, which is odd. Like, the fact that they just...
There was nobody there.
The red flag probably was like, there's not a soul in the park, but the food is steaming hot. That's a red flag for me not to eat that food. So her parents pig out, turn into pigs. This leads Chihiro to start exploring this world, trying to escape, trying to find help. And this leads her to the bathhouse, and she meets up with Haku.
Well, Haku kind of finds her out in the town.
That's true. He brings her to the bathhouse.
Yeah, he tells her to hold her breath as they cross the bridge so that nobody knows that she's a human, because she is a human in the spirit world, or the spirit worlds of gods and like mythical creatures, not the spirit world as in like death. And
she starts going invisible.
Yeah,
and
she
then
has to eat the food in order to remain a part of that town. It had to have been a really rough afternoon for that poor kid. I mean, she's 10. Like, I couldn't imagine our 11-year-old child dealing with any of that half as well as Chihiro did, although she did scream the entire time.
The entire time she's still screaming.
Again, I didn't enjoy this whole setup because I was just grumpy and not really in the mood for it. But Haku kind of came to the rescue and helped her find, helped her figure out where she needed to go in this world and what she needed to do with the best chance of survival.
Haku kind of points her the way to the boiler room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this is how you get there. You have to go here, here, and here. And he just leaves her and like, good luck. And now it's up to her to get there. And I love the time that the animators took to animate her getting to the boiler room, because it was a lot of, because the stairs are so steep, she's slowly, like, 1 foot at a time, and they're really taking their time with it. And then she just kind of stumbles.
Yeah, and falls the entire way down the stairs.
It's really funny just because you spend all this slow time getting down one step at a time, and then she's just screaming as she runs down the stairs, another person descending stairs, and smacks into a wall. So it starts off kind of comedic, getting to the boiler room, and then we finally meet the boiler man, Kamaji, who I really like.
I was disgusted by him at first.
And you see that he has like 6 legs and 2 arms, and
yeah, he's got all those extra like spider arms, and
he stretches, like his arms actually stretch further than it looks like they can go, and he kind of leads her. Well, I guess the next character to walk into the boiler room was Lynn, that's right. Her name's Lynn.
Lynn is my favorite character in this movie. She needs to be protected.
The thing
at
she
all
says,
costs.
the lines that they gave her are always hilarious. She's essentially an audience member.
She's also voiced by Susan Egan, who has done a lot of different stuff from our childhoods, but most notably Meg from Hercules. She was the love interest in Hercules, and I just love her like sassy voice.
I know you love Hercules.
I adore Hercules.
Have probably watched Hercules twice in my life.
Oh, I think it's such a great film. So I really enjoyed that character. It was her. She was the one that kind of pulled me into this film finally.
I was wondering.
And the dust mites and the radish god.
I was just going to say, the dust mites are really cute.
Dust mites are so cute.
She's a fun, clever character. But I think for me, it was the radish god that really got me into, especially because he's in the bathhouse. Now you're going to go up this elevator. You're starting to see other characters. The radish god I think he's just cute and funny.
His little radish butt. His giant radish nipples. Like, I loved
the
him.
way he just kind of like slowly just waddles into this elevator. You know, he's like, I'm here. I'm at my bathhouse. I'm going to get really treated well here. And he's just kind of rolling with it. And he helps Chihiro get where she needs to go.
Yeah, he kind of helps Chihiro find her way to Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
I know that's not her name.
Baba?
That is what I will be calling her.
Shit, the Baba Yaga. I mean,
Yeah.
she is a witch.
She's a witch. So the Baba Yaga.
Or Yubaba.
You Baba Yaga? No, wait, no.
No, her name is Yubaba. I think I said something else earlier.
You Baba Yaga.
Yubaba Yaga. Sure, we'll go with Yubaba Yaga.
Yeah, because she's a witch and she's terrifying. Obviously, the animation style is very Studio Ghibli. It's very Miyazaki. Like, it's a stunningly put together film. I can go on and on about the backgrounds and how lush and gorgeous they all are.
I will later.
But all of the characters either have no nose or only nose. There was no in between. Like,
Yubaba definitely wins the prize for biggest nose.
Baba Yaga has all the nose, whereas all the other like more human characters, no nose.
Or very tiny red noses.
They turn their side profiles almost concave because their nose just sort of disappears, and I just found that distracting because I spent some time being like nose, no nose, 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 no nose, no nose, no nose.
I know you are a nose woman.
Well, that's why you're sitting across from me, honey.
That's why today, as we're recording this, we're celebrating our 17th year anniversary married, 18 together as a couple.
Yeah, happy anniversary, Shapoopy.
Happy anniversary, Shapoopy.
I love you.
I love you.
This movie is very much child labor, the movie.
There is a lot of child labor.
A lot of child
sure.
labor in it. I even feel like that giant baby has... Oh, the giant baby.
Oh, the giant... Well, yeah, giant baby.
They're pretty great. But yeah, like I wrote down just child labor, the movie, because that's what I sort of felt that this was, because who expects a 10-year-old to do all the shit that Chihiro has to do? And Chihiro loses her name and becomes Sen.
Yes, Yubaba takes Chihiro's name away from her, calls her Sen, as a means to control her, to make her, you are now mine. You are under contract to be with me, and I'm gonna give you a new name, and you're gonna forget your old name. And that's kind of the point of the movie, is for her to not forget her name. She needs help before she forgets her name. Otherwise, she'll be lost to Yubaba slave labor for life.
Forever.
Yeah. That's kind of what it seemed like it was going.
It makes me wonder, are all of the characters, or all the people that work in the bathhouse, are they like inhabitants of that world who are working there? They're not all humans that have stumbled in. They're all just like the native people of that land, right?
I think they are also spirits, I guess. Maybe they are human. I don't know. Maybe
are they like the patron saint of gods? Like,
they don't really go into what a lot of the servants.
Kamaji's the patron saint of plumbers.
Maybe they are all people that Yubaba has kidnapped and forced into slave labor.
But who have forgotten that they're all human because they were disgusted by her and her smell.
That's
as
true.
A human.
They're like, oh, human. Maybe they are some kind of spirit. They don't really go into what the servants are. They just, the spirits are the customers.
Yeah, the gods essentially are like all the customers. And we see a lot of really wonderful different characters in the background and in the foreground. I really loved the frog. The little frogman was really cute, really annoying, but I very much enjoyed watching him get eaten.
Some other weird characters we meet are the three green bouncing heads that...
They're kind of like dogs?
Sure, they don't do anything, really, except they're good at pushing, and they're good at turning into a giant baby and just eating a bunch of food, but that's a little later. And then the creature, I don't know if it's a bird or a pterodactyl that usually flies with Yubaba.
I kind of always considered it a crow. To me, it sort of looked like a crow with
'Cause
Baba Yaga's head on it.
Yeah, it almost looked just like Yubaba, but
I'm not sorry.
But yeah, we never really get to any background information on the green heads or the crow.
No, but I did ultimately learn to enjoy them very much as the movie progressed.
As the movie progresses, you end up liking them probably the most compared to the other characters. Something I really liked about Yubaba's powers was the sound effect that they use for her powers.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she does some magic, it sounds like a zipper, either unzipping or zipping, and she'll do something and it's like zzz, zzz.
I only noticed that when she closed Sen's mouth,
Oh, sure.
like to shut Sen up. That was the only time
Right.
I noticed the zipper effect.
Typical
but I did think it was...
Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
be quiet kind of moment. But the sound effect keeps going, like when she moves the curtains, when she changes characters into different
Interesting.
moves things. It all has that zipper noise. It's a very ASMR type noise for me, I think.
Can we talk about Ghostface Killer?
No face, but also ghost face.
Ghostface Killer.
Sure.
This is a character that I have seen everywhere for the majority of my life. I've got coworkers that have stickers of him on their water bottles. I've seen people's shirts. I've seen figurines.
I remember when this movie came out, he was the hit character of the whole movie.
He's a
was everywhere.
stunningly like his character design is great. So I absolutely understand why they chose
Very simple,
Yeah.
obviously, but very unique.
very
And
striking.
original, striking. When you see him, like you said, you've seen him before you saw this movie, but you know exactly what he's from when you see his face.
Well,
or
I knew
his
that
no
he was a
face.
Studio Ghibli thing. I wasn't until they were on the train together, because that's an image that I've seen a lot
Yeah,
just
that's-
around the internet too, that I really realized that like, oh, that's where it's from. I don't know if I really trusted Ghostface Killer up until the end of the movie.
Really,
Kinda-
not even at the beginning when he's helping.
I don't know, because even at the beginning, I felt like there was some sort of weird, like, he couldn't speak to her. He couldn't tell her what he wanted or what he needed, but he was helping her, which was nice. But I always felt like he wanted too much of her, because he would try to give her gifts and she'd say no and run away, and then he'd be standing there like, what the fuck did I do this for?
His motivation was not very clear.
No, it's not clear at all.
Obviously, once he starts eating, he has an eating issue.
Yeah, he turns into Slimer pretty
He
fast.
turns into Black Slimer, essentially, like just this big black blob that grows legs.
Ugh.
And the fatter he gets, the more hair he has as well. Like I think that was the most disturbing, more than the big teeth and gross tongue and all the slime that's coming off of him. I think the thing that that weirded me out the most was that he grew a wig. Almost just like a toupee came out of from behind his mask.
Maybe it was all the hair from the people that he had
That he was
devoured.
eating.
His legs were what grossed me out. Even when he was welcomed into the temple for the first time off of the bridge, or he was welcomed into the bathhouse for the first time off of the bridge, you see his little skinny legs, and I don't know, for some reason I found that very disturbing. He does give things away kind of as gifts and as trinkets, but they're not necessarily real. I mean, the gold that
The gold's
he gives away
fake. Yeah,
is
the
fake.
gold. You wonder if is he turning dirt into gold and then the gold turns back into dirt, or does this just come out of him and then just turns into dirt later?
Is that how he poops?
Poops gold that turns into dirt? Was that no face poop?
Was that no-face poop? Was all that gold and all those people are obsessed with Ghostface Killer poop?
And to answer your question, or answer my own question about who played the voice of the frog, the voice of the frog also played the voice of No Face, which really was just him going, eh, eh, eh.
The little
But
frog was so
his
cute.
name's Bob Bergen, and he was in the English dub of Akira, which is pretty big.
Which I've never seen.
See, now you're upsetting a bunch of anime fans again.
You know what? Oh, he voices Warner Brothers cartoon characters Porky Pig and Tweety.
Yeah, he was in Space Jam, so I'm sure he had to do a bunch of that for Space Jam. He gives Sen water tokens, which come in handy later once we discover, well, she doesn't know that this big, slimy, gross, dirty blob moving through the night that needs a good wash is the river god. But it turns out those water tokens come in handy when she needs, because the servants that work at this bathhouse refuse to help her just because she's the new kid. You know, we're not going to help her. You're a human. You're the new kid. We're not going to pay any mind to you. So she ends up getting some tokens from No Face, and then she's able to use those to help the river god, who then, as a thank you for getting all that crap out of him, was a dirty meatball that looked like somebody forgot it underneath a refrigerator for a month, and it just started growing hair and mold, and at least that's what it looked like. She tries taking a tiny bite of it later, and it was obviously not great. Obviously, it comes in handy later.
I have a lot of thoughts about the stink monster. My first thought was, is this our dead landlord? Which
wow, that's a joke that nobody
it's
gets.
a deep cut just for us, but please keep it in, because we had a landlord who was just the smelliest thing you could imagine. Looked and, I imagine, smelled like the stink monster from Spirited Away easily. That whole sequence for me showed that the inhabitants of the bathhouse, all the workers, all the people there, they're not necessarily kind people. I mean, they're just doing their job. Like, let's be honest, they work in customer service. They're tired. We work in customer service. We're tired.
And essentially, they work for tips.
Yeah, and when you see something god-awful coming your way, and you're just like, son of a bitch, I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to deal with this woman yelling about how we don't have organic bananas. I don't want to deal with this guy upset that he can't get cheddar cheese on his sandwich. Like, whatever it is. We've all worked customer service, so we know. They all, they didn't want him in there because he was gross and he was big and he was, disgusting. And ultimately, the care to take care of him fell on Sen. And
because she's the new girl.
Because she's the new girl, and she still had to... They were cleaning that big bathtub anyways, that the big stink guy needed. But she ended up helping him with kindness. I mean, we have all had, all of us customer service agents of chaos, we have all had a customer that comes up to you and you're just like, son of a bitch, I don't want to deal with this. But if you treat them with kindness, you find that they actually are just a decent person having a bad day. And those little stories are also, they're always nice to have, to know that, like, oh, you've changed somebody's life for a day. Sen was the only one who was kind of willing to help him. And in doing so, she was justly rewarded with what is ultimately medicine. If she didn't help the river god, she never would have been able to save Haku. She would have never gotten out of there. Like, her kindness in that moment is what ultimately saved the day. And I thought that was lovely.
She saves Haku's life, and she helps No Face turn back to normal and vomit up all the people that he ate, and all the things. But
yeah, so everything that she does in that moment is done out of kindness. That moment endeared Sen to me for the first time, because when she smells the stink monster, her hair stands on end, and it's like her hair becomes a character in itself that is repulsed by the smell in the room. And I just found that so funny. That was the moment that I started to like her. For me, the whole stink monster scene was the moment that I finally fell for this character and wanted to see more of her story and wanted to see her succeed, because up until that point, I was just like, I fucking hate this kid.
It's a great scene. I love the animation, especially once the stink monster once they start pulling all the crap out of him, the bicycle, all the stuff that's been thrown. Essentially, it's
all the trash.
All the trash that's been thrown into the river. I mean, Miyazaki's a very nature over industry type of writer, so it makes sense that it's like, hey, stop throwing all your shit in water sources.
All of his movies have an environmental spin to them, it seems.
Absolutely. Everything Miyazaki directs, at least, is largely a environmental over industry, over waste.
Pigs are terrifying.
Yes, and they draw pigs absolutely terrifying. Not only in this movie, when Sen has a dream about where she can't find her parents because they've completely turned into pigs. All the pigs start just squealing at the camera,
gnashing at her.
Yeah, and it's quite terrifying. There's a quite a few scenes in Princess Mononoke. A lot of wild boars are used in that movie, and they are absolutely drawn to be terrifying.
Between this movie, Princess Mononoke, and Hannibal, I've always been very terrified of pigs. Yeah, in Hannibal, the guy at the end, the weird guy that Gary Oldman plays, the rich
Right.
dude, he has pigs. And then if you read the book, he's like he's eventually like murdered and fed to the pigs. And it's just, that was the first time that I was aware that like pigs aren't just these like cute cuddly creatures, and that they can eat a human being into nothing in a very short amount of time.
I think I learned that from the movie Snatch, when one of the main villain pretty much feeds everybody to pigs. It's well known that you want to stay away from a pig farmer.
Yeah, pig farmers are terrifying. I mean, even in Red Dead Redemption 2, when Arthur has to dispose of the body of a
Throws them into a pig pen.
of a John into a pig pen to help save one of the ladies of the night. Like,
Yeah.
pigs are terrifying, and I've never been the type of person to find pigs cute. I remember growing up, I would have like friends or parents of friends that would have a bunch of pig figurines in their homes, and even then I was like, why, ew. Like,
Yeah, I'll pass on that. So while No Face is wreaking havoc throughout the bathhouse, demanding food, demanding the pleasures of the bathhouse, Sen is upstairs, and in the distance she sees Haku in dragon form, which, is this the first time we've seen him as a dragon, when he's flying around with these paper cut birds?
No, it was the second time. She sees him once before. She sees this like glittery dragon in the sky and automatically thinks of him as Haku. I think that she recognizes that dragon as Haku instantly.
But this time he's flying around with these. When you first see it, I thought they were like seagulls or some kind of other white bird chasing him around over the ocean, and then he smacks into her room.
Why were they attacking him? And to me they look like sparrows, but like, why were they attacking him?
Well, they were grannies.
Oh yeah, they were Granny number 2s. They were Baba Yaga 2s.
Baba Yaga 2, which I can't remember her name off the top of my... Oh, Zaniba.
Yes.
Zaniba is the good twin, the good witch sister.
Are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? So yeah, she's Sister Baba Yaga.
Because he
Granny.
stole, on Baba Yaga's stole a stamp or
Yeah,
some kind of...
some sort of seal.
Seal. Yeah, that's what it was, a seal.
To perform magic or something. I didn't really quite understand the whole
It wasn't really
reasoning.
important to the story.
No.
He stole something that was important to Zaniba, and she sent her horde of paper mache,
Yeah, like origami, like birds
that-
after him.
which I thought was pretty cool, especially once you see them and they start slicing themselves into like the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and he writhers around on the floor like a injured snake, and blood just goes everywhere.
Oh, nobody does blood like Studio Ghibli.
The blood.
The blood and the gore of Studio Ghibli is something that has always been just sort of spectacular.
And it's not in every Studio Ghibli film. Like, there's a lot of like very kid-friendly movies that
I
they
don't know,
make.
the 2 I've seen have been pretty gory.
Like, you wouldn't see this in
Like My Neighbor.
My Neighbor Totoro or Porco Rosso. For the most part, I mean, the bloodiest Studio Ghibli film is Princess Mononoke. It's just so much blood. I mean, the guy's shooting people's arms off with his bow and arrow. So yeah, he's bleeding a lot, takes off again out the door and flies up out of sight, and she runs to go get help. I can't remember where she's immediately, or she...
They all end up in
the
Baba
boiler room
Yaga's
again.
room.
Not Baba Yaga's room.
No, they are.
Oh, yeah.
They do end up in Baba Yaga's
Right,
room, and that's
yes.
where we discover that the person that we think is Baba Yaga is actually Granny Yaga, and
Yes, Zaniba is the one controlling the paper birds.
yeah,
She makes herself appear to everybody. She can use her power even though she's not technically in the room, because later she's destroyed, or at least the projection of herself is destroyed by what she calls a paper cut. But she's still able to use her powers. She
She turns the giant baby into a fat little rat.
Fat little rat. The crow turns into a fly. The 3 bouncy heads turn into the baby. And she tells Sen, she demands that
the golden seal be returned to her. And she also tells Sen that Haku is going to die.
Right.
And then Haku falls through that giant hole that was just randomly in the floor.
That the 3 heads were trying to push him in there already.
Yeah.
But
is that where Baba Yaga pushes the bodies?
I think so. It's like
is that her trash?
It's like
compartment?
Mr. Burns' trap door.
Release the hounds.
So he ends up in the boiler room, causing quite the mess. Breaks a lot of shit, which I felt bad for the boiler
Kamaji.
Man. Yeah, like really all this. He's so organized, like with all his little drawers and everything. And here comes Haku just making a mess, getting blood everywhere, breaking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And once Sen catches up to them, she force feeds half of the rotten meatball to
medicine ball
to Haku, forces him to swallow it, and he turns back into.
He turns back in. Well,
no, that was later. He doesn't turn back into human form, or
until later, yeah, because she forces the dragon Haku to eat half of the thing, and
he throws up the seal and a slug.
And he throws up a bunch of bile, including the seal, and then this little slug. And what follows is Caveman's favorite part.
One of my favorite parts of this entire film, as far as the humor goes, the moment that Kamaji tells Sen, "Smash it, smash it, get it," and then she squishes it with her foot, and he tells her, "Quick, that's bad luck. You know, you don't want that bad luck rubbing off on you."
Get that black slug over there. Get it, get it, get it. You killed it? Those things are bad luck. Hurry before it rubs off on you. Put your thumbs and forefingers together, huh? Evil, be gone.
Just the scene that follows of the little dust mites or whatever they are bounce over. The fly takes the mouse over to the dust mites, and he puts his foot where Sen's foot was, and they imitate what they just saw Sen do. And it's just the little noises they make, and the little rat with his fingers together,
and they cut in
the
half.
little
It was a very
haircut
cute scene.
And then they're all celebrating like, yay! Like, it's so cute. And
the baby rat and the mosquito bird definitely became my favorite characters in the movie because they were just adorable, and I liked how they grew in that, because the baby was terrified of germs. The baby was terrified to leave its like grand and lush room, which I want to live in. I want to be buried under a bunch of pillows. That's a dream. But the baby, I think, was always afraid because Baba Yaga told the baby to be afraid of the real world on the outside. But then once he's, a little rat, like, he becomes strong and he becomes brave. And I thought that was very cute. Those characters were so endearing.
Yeah, he becomes a big boy.
Mm-hmm. So Sen, Ghostface Killer, the baby rat, and the mosquito go on an adventure.
Yeah, they're given tickets by Kamaji. Yeah, he supposedly it took him years to save up these 4 tickets, and he's just automatically like, yeah, take them. I don't need them. When Lynn sees that he has these tickets, she's obviously very surprised by how many he has, and
because these tickets are to a train, and the train is really the only way to get away from the bathhouse. It's basically a subway. But the train only goes...
It's a one-way train.
It's a one-way train. It used to go and come back, but now it just goes. Which makes me wonder how it comes back. Like, does the train manifest again? Like, how does the train circle back around? Is it a big circle?
Maybe it goes around the world.
But it's only a one-way ticket, basically. So she can take the train to the station that she needs to go to, but she cannot take it back. So she has to walk back. And she's willing to do this. Sen is brave in this moment, knowing that if she doesn't return this golden seal, Haku is going to die. And I don't even think that she cares if she'll be able to leave. It's just that She knows that Haku...
She just wants to help Haku.
Yeah, she loves Haku, and she wants him to survive.
We see No Face at the end of his vomiting show up at the and dive into the water to catch up to Sen because he's following her to the train. He finds the last and final thing that he throws up is the frog who floats up to the surface of the water, belly up, and you're like, oh no,
the poor frog man.
The one that because you saw that John Ratzenberger's character.
Yeah, all the other characters had survived, but
Yeah.
you think the little frog man hadn't.
And you're like, no, not the frog, and then he hops away, and now No Face, I guess, doesn't have a voice again.
Well, no, because the frog man was his voice.
The frog man was his voice, and also John Ratzenberger. It's interesting that he was in this movie. I mean, this was during the time when, first of all, he was doing a lot of voices for Pixar. I often wonder if he's in this one because this is right at the time where Studio Ghibli's American distribution was done through Disney.
Well, that's because John Lasseter, back when he had his
That's right, he
hands
was
kind
still
of all
producing
over
a lot of
Disney
these.
Animation and Pixar.
For the American side,
he was the one
producing.
that brought Studio Ghibli films over, and
Probably
of course
cast
he
a
was,
lot of the
yeah,
English
of course he
voices.
was going to be, because a lot of the great, a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies have like Disney cast members in it or in their American dubs, so. I'm sort of not surprised to see John Ratzenberger there. It was slightly distracting, as his voice is always slightly distracting.
Which is why I'm sure a lot of purists would be like, well, that's why you got to watch in the Japanese audio. Which, once again, most Japanese anime is superior because the English casts suck. So it's nice when somebody like John Lasseter can hire English cast with talent. And also Disney behind you that can pay for that
Disney
talent.
Money.
As far as the animation goes from this point on, it's probably some of my favorite ever because the train ride from the bathhouse to Granny's swamp is some of my favorite. Just like the train moving and you see the handles on the ceiling just slightly move as the train vibrates. The animated water is some of my favorite, hand-drawn water. Backgrounds, the sunsets, the establishing shots, it's all really pretty in this film.
The flowers, just the background of the flowers. I mean, the hyacinths and the orchids and the dahlias and daisies, like they're so beautiful. They're so lush and rich, as if they've been painted with just the best oil paints on the planet by some of the best masters. Like, it is such a beautiful put together film. I kind of want them to do a Pride and Prejudice just because I want to see what it looks like. It'd be so pretty.
It's also a moment to just slow down because so much has happened leading up to the train ride, and it's also essentially the third act has begun, and this leads us to Granny's Swamp, which the first thing that we're greeted with when we arrive at the swamp is one of the coolest character designs. I really like it.
The
I know
little
you
lantern
do.
on the hand, it was adorable.
How it just shows up bouncing off of its hand and
The little pogo stick lantern
showing
was
the light in
so
the way back
cute.
home.
I like how it would like jump forward and then wait for them to catch up to it and then hop forward again and wait. And then when they finally get to the confines of Granny's like yard, he just hops up onto the fence, the archway of the fence, and just hangs on there. I thought he was adorable. I was seeing on Instagram today, and I actually sent you a reel, but I don't think you've watched it yet, that there's a Studio Ghibli like theme park in Japan.
Man, now I have a reason to go to Japan again.
And they were showing like it's going to be opening soon, but they were showing off like the witch area of the theme park, and you can go into Granny's house and like look around. Like they've got a full-size version of Granny's house.
That's amazing.
They
I
also
wanna
have
go.
a full-size version of Howl's Castle. Like it's pretty incredible. We're definitely gonna have to look up some of the footage. Well, you'll have to take our older kid and have fun. You guys can go to Japan.
Okay. See ya, I'm going to Japan.
Okay, bye. Love you.
Don't have to tell me twice. So our characters enter Zaniba's swamp and her house, and I mean her cottage is so warm looking and inviting, like a grandmother's warm swamp cottage.
Yeah, it's cluttered in the best way. You know, it's a house that's been filled with life and memories and love, and of course it's a little witchy, and it's adorable. Like, I want that cottage. I want that whole property.
And it's very the absolute opposite of her sister's place.
Her sister's, yeah, Baba Yaga's place is so opulent and rich. It's dripping with kind of a gaudy sense of, you know, of rich architecture.
I mean, even the big baby's play area with all those pillows and
It's very lush and very just rich, whereas this sister, the granny's house, is more homey. It's more comfortable. It's more...
And she doesn't have a bunch of servants
No.
like waiting on her hand and foot, running her swamp bathhouse or something.
No, she's just kind of hanging out. She puts Ghostface Killer to work with untangling yarn.
Oh my goodness, the mouse and the fly on the spindle helping
Yes.
Ghost to face. See, now you got me saying Ghostface Killer. No Face was so adorable.
Oh, I love them so
And,
much.
you know, they run, and then take a break for a breath, and then run, and then the camera kind of cuts to the other characters, but in the background you can still hear run, and they pause for a
Squeak,
moment,
squeak,
and
squeak,
then
stop, yeah.
run.
And so Granny forgives Sen?
I mean, she knows that she's kind of under the influence of her evil sister. Of course, Sen didn't really do anything wrong. It was Haku that stole something. Sen was just there to, here's your seal back, and
Sorry.
I got rid of the curse that was the slug. And Granny's like, that wasn't a curse. That was, you squashed what was controlling how Yubaba was controlling Haku.
Yeah.
And
Because once Sen got rid of that thing, because it does cut. There's a moment where it cuts to Haku and Kamaji back in the boiler room, and Haku's a human again, and he's able to finally stand up to Baba Yaga, like, for the first time. So yeah, the vicious poison that he vomits up is actually the control that Baba Yaga had over him, and that's something that we learn about from Granny. And then Granny eventually sends Sen, although I think that's when Sen finally gets her name back, right? Doesn't she tell Granny that her name is
that's on their way out. So first, the No Face and the rat or mouse. No Face, the mouse, and the fly finish the little project they were working on, which was the purple hair tie. Just a way of remembering the friendships that she's had on this adventure. And then there's a knock at the door and a big whooshing sound, or a whooshing sound, then a knock. And I don't know if he landed and then went and knocked on the door real fast and then ran back out to the fence and then turned into a dragon. It was perfect. She opens the door and there's just this majestic dragon, which I don't know about you, but I think Haku's design, his dragon design, is one of my favorite dragon, like that look.
He was a beautiful dragon, all silver and green.
The way he's standing there in the front yard, just majestic, and
yeah, it was
look
beautiful.
at me at all my dragonness right now. Right before they take off, Sen was like, I just remembered my name. It's Shakira.
It's Shakira?
Shakira. And
her hips don't lie.
Hey, high five.
Such dorks. I love you.
So, Chihiro remembers her name, and they take off, and during their flight back to the bathhouse, she remembers how she remembers Haku.
Yeah, she remembers how she knows who Haku is, and Haku is like a river spirit, basically.
Another river spirit, a specific river.
A very specific river, yeah. And he like saved her life when she fell in as a younger child.
She remembers the river's name, and that is his name that he forgot because of Yubaba's curse, or the way she makes you forget your name.
The river's name was the Kohaku River. I think that was you, and your real name is Kohaku River.
So as soon as he remembers, he turns into a person again, and they just start plummeting towards the water. It's like, oh wait, maybe you guys should have talked about this.
Yeah,
once
this
you
was
got
bad
over...
timing because like now they're just plummeting towards an ocean.
But then it turns out he can fly
Yeah.
just without being a dragon. I'm like, well, that's cool. And then they just
Handy, I guess.
yeah, hand to hand, Peter Pan and Wendy style, just back to the bathhouse.
Well, this movie is kind of a peer. Like she goes off to Wonderland. She meets an older flying boy who kind of like helps her navigate the world, and then she herself has to find the courage to save her family,
Stand up to the villain,
and make it back. So this is a very Peter Pan-esque story.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's one final test once she gets back to the bathhouse in order for her to leave. Yubaba has agreed that if she passes this test, she'll let her and her parents
go back to the
human world. And that test is to just
find her parents.
Find her parents, yeah. Which one of these pigs is yours? And I think I guessed this with the first time I watched it. I'm pretty sure I was like, I don't think any of those pigs are your mom and dad. And she guessed none of them are, and
that was correct.
And the 8 pigs turn into servants.
Yeah.
Which, hey, servants, I need you for a...
Yeah, I need 8 volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers.
Were they volunteered or voluntold?
Voluntold. Hey, I need you.
You, stand right there.
You're going to be a pig for a moment.
Turn you into a pig. Were all the pigs her old servants?
All those pigs?
Because I hope not, because they did eat them. So.
They were... We didn't talk about that. They were straight up ready to eat her parents.
Yeah, they were going to...
Yubaba was like... They've got to be pigs by now. Let's start slaughtering them.
Yeah, let's turn them into bacon.
Chihiro guessed right. She says her goodbyes to
everyone.
That she says goodbye to her friends, and
they have to. And she's told that her parents are waiting for her back in the original temple, but like she's told that she can't turn around and look back on what she's leaving, so she doesn't right up until at the very end where she's about to turn back, but then I think she remembers that she shouldn't, and she heads into the temple, and that's where her parents are.
To add to our conversation on the subject of Spirited Away, we have a special guest with us today. Alex, you say that you have some insight or some knowledge about this movie. You kind of came the Hayao Miyazaki films recently, but you've been enjoying a lot of them, including Spirited Away, but also Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle,
Boy and the Heron.
Boy and the Heron, of course. We saw that in the theater. So what would you like to tell us about Spirited Away?
Might go off a little ramble here, but so in the end, right, our main character Sen goes to Granny's house.
Yes.
And she has like a nice time there, and no face and a little bird and rat made her a little hair tie, and I think that Granny enchanted it with good luck. When she goes that test with the twin sister.
Yes, the one
works at the bathhouse.
She has to choose which pigs are her parents.
Yeah. She said that none of those pigs were her parents.
Yeah.
And when she got her parents back and was going to leave the spiritual world, she was going to almost like look back, but that hair tie like shines, and she looks away and keeps on going forward with her parents.
Right.
I find that really intriguing that the granny helps her to not lose her
parents and and her own name.
to the old lady.
Yes, the twin sister.
Yeah.
So, Alex, how do you rank Spirited Away with other Hayao Miyazaki films that you've seen? Like, I know you like Princess Mononoke and The Boy and the Heron. Like, those are your top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been trying to figure out what you like more, Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away. And you don't have to say, you could say both. You could say that those two tied, because those are two really strong movies. And I think other people would agree with you. Who's your favorite character in Spirited Away?
I like the little bugs.
Like the fly, or the little dust
particles that works in the boiler.
The boiler room, yeah. Well, thank you, Alex, so much for coming by and joining Maggie and I today. And it was a lot of fun talking to you, and I hope we can do it some more.
Yeah. I'll pop back in if there's any more Miyazaki films.
There are. So we'll see you then.
So she reunites with her parents, and her parents are, once again, the worst. They have learned nothing. They remember nothing.
What are you doing over there,
you
Chihiro?
been?
Come on, let's go. Let's get going.
The movers are waiting for us, except, like, when they get back to their car, they find out that they've been there for days on days on days.
The dad is so angry that somebody just put twigs and stuff on his car. It had to be a practical joke. There's no way these twigs could have just gotten here naturally.
Ugh, that dad is the worst. He should have stayed a pig. Honestly, like, I get that because it is kind of a Peter Pan story, she has to return to the real world and live her real life, and she had an adventure and it was magical, but she was better off staying there and, like, living with Granny than being with those parents, because those parents were just horrendous people. Like, just awful, awful people. So
yeah, good luck, Chihiro, and your living... Well, and
good luck with your miserable parents.
And on their way out, her parents, they get into the town that they're moving to, and her parents are kind of like, well, here we go, here's this adventure for you, Chihiro, are you nervous? And because of all the growth that she just went through, going from being
a whiny little brat to somebody that's brave and strong,
she can handle a new home and a new school. You know, she's learned how to be strong, brave, work hard. That was something. She was very lazy, so she's learned how to work hard. She's very young, but there's a lot of talk about her and loving Haku. Like, it was kind of a more adult relationship for a girl her age. If she's supposed to be 10 to 12.
I don't know. Because when they brought up her loving Haku, I found that kind of weird too. But I never felt like it was really a romantic love. Maybe more of just a...
Because they never kiss, right?
Love, or maybe just like... she just appreciated... Because he was the first person to help her. He was the first person to save her. He was the person that got her a life, you know, in that world. He was the one that was taking care of her. And I think she loved him for that. I don't think that it was a romantic love at all. I just think that it's, you know, a platonic love. Or maybe a sort of sibling love, but I didn't take it as like anything romantic.
And it probably wasn't, because they didn't really
she's 10, he's a river god.
She goes back to...
It's illegal either way.
She goes back to... Jesus. Even though she's going to miss her friends, she didn't leave Haku like, oh no, my long lost love, I'll never be able to be with you again. It's pretty much just like, that was a fun time. I had fun with these friends. I'll remember them. But it's, you know, I have to go on with my life. She grew up in that world and became a stronger, more confident person. So I'm pretty sure she can handle a new home, a new school, and essentially her new life.
So what would you rate Spirited Away at?
Spirited Away, because it's definitely turned into a classic for me. Almost nostalgic. I mean, it's a pretty old film at this. It's over 20 years old now. It's been in my life for a long time. I didn't watch it in the theaters, but I think as soon as it was available for a DVD purchase, I bought it. And then I bought it again on Blu-ray. So it's a pretty special movie for me. I would give it 4.5.
I'm a little different. It's hard to watch a movie. It's hard to get into anything when everybody that you've known for the better part of 20 years gets automatically angry at you because you've said that you haven't seen this thing. If you heard any noise behind us, that is our producer, Robin, deciding to just run absolutely wild around the house and attack something near the window.
If you listen to our Everything Everywhere All at Once episode, you definitely know how much fun we have with a wild animal running around us while we're trying to record.
Yeah, we've decided that Robin is a very unhelpful producer. He thinks otherwise, but he's still just there to cause trouble.
He has artistic flourishes that he likes to put into the
into the recording.
The recordings.
We do not like that. Please stop, Robin. Good God. But anyways, back to my point. I thought it was a lovely film. You know, it's weird to watch something that everybody tells you is the best thing in the world, and then you sit down and you watch it and you go, "Oh, that was fun." So I'm going to give it a solid 3. I would say. I really did enjoy the first act. I don't know if it was just I was kind of grumpy. I didn't take to any of all the characters took a long time to grow on me, except for Lynn. She's perfect from the second we meet her. So yeah, for me, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's a fine film. It's not my favorite Studio Ghibli movie that I've ever seen.
This 1 out of 2.
Yeah, this 1 out of 2. There has to be a bottom one, but it was a fun movie. It was sweet.
There are 2 more on the list, so we'll see how they stack up compared to the other 2 you've watched. So Maggie.
Yes, Caveman?
I know I forgot to ask you last episode, and we're going to try to make this a more common thing for every episode.
It's very important to me.
It's such an important 2 questions. First question, would the presence of Oscar Isaac's voice have been better in this movie?
Yes, I think that he could have replaced... I think Haku was really beautifully voiced, and I don't know if you'd want to replace him, but Oscar Isaac could have been the dad, and I might have liked the dad just a little bit more, hearing Oscar Isaac's perfect voice coming out of the dad's ugly, ugly face.
That makes a lot of sense coming from you, and how much you disliked the dad.
I hate the dad so much.
No offense against Michael Chiklis, but...
Because the dad looked like Josh Brolin and a pig fucked and had an ugly baby, I had a dream that night where it was like some sort of rom-com where Josh Brolin had a kitten and I was suddenly living in his apartment with him and we fell in love over the kitten. I'm not mad about that, but beyond that, yes, no, I wish that... I guess I answered both questions in one, didn't I?
That's okay. So those of you who don't know, the second question is, which character would he have played? And
yeah, he should have been the dad.
That takes care of both questions. So thanks, Oscar Isaac, for existing for us to have you in some hypotheticals.
Thank you, Oscar Isaac, for so much. For just so much. I love you so much.
All right, get a room.
And that's today's episode. Thank you, Minglers, for listening. We have put a lot of love into this thing and are still feeling our way through the whole process. So we appreciate your time and support as we continue this fun podcasting journey. If you have any comments or questions, you can reach out to us at movieminglepod@gmail.com. That's moviemingle, M-I-N-G-L-E, pod, P-O-D, @gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at movieminglepod, and I just set up a Letterboxd account for the podcast where you can see how I, Maggie, rate all of the movies we've watched so far. We'll see you next time, and until then, get out there and mingle.
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let them fight.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
Here on Caladan, we ruled by air power and sea power. On Arrakis, we need to cultivate desert power.
Welcome, Mr. Beach. What's that bar? I'm a little confused.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. What is that?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. Toga, 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 toga.